So professional courses are not classroom courses. That means there are no prescribed learning hours or time that you have to attend of a specific institute. Here, there are certain professional and regulatory bodies. For example, ICAI, which is Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, ICSI, Institute of Company Secretaries of India, and ICMA, Institute of Cost Management Accountant, which are established by statutes, and all of them are directly governed by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So we can realize that these are bodies who have nothing to do with a university, institute, or any college. They're independent bodies. Now, why are these courses called professional courses? All of us know that the course in which we all are enrolled, that is LLB. I hope so, all of us are LLB students over here. The course is in itself a professional course. What does a professional course mean? It means you are governed by a specific code of guidelines, ethics, and behavior. As a lawyer, as all of us are governed by the Advocates Act, we have to comply with certain specific guidelines, codes, and ethics of behavior. Similarly, these courses, CA, CS, or ICMA, will get you governed by certain statute. For example, for a CS, the statute is the Company Secretary Act 1980. For a CA, the statute is the Institute of Chartered Accounts of India 1959. They have laid down certain guidelines and behavior which we must follow while we are pursuing CA and CS or in the future when we are practicing them. Now the question arises, how are they relevant and important, especially for a law student? We must realize that these courses, either CA, CS or CMA, can be undertaken by anyone who has passed 10 plus 2. That is, even an engineering student, a law student, humanities student, anyone can take up this course. But the intention behind these courses was simply, if we go to the genesis, was to assist and promote good corporate governance in different companies or different MNCs, multinational companies. Now, if we see how are they relevant for a lawyer, in this coming age, there are basically broadly, I am not going for any classification, there are broadly two kinds of lawyers which you find. One are the courtroom lawyers, one are the boardroom lawyers, or known as the corporate in-house counsel. Now, if we focus, the courtroom lawyers are those who try to prefer in litigation. They try to prefer in a court, work in a court, work under the guidance of certain seniors. And the boardroom lawyers are those who would try to get a job either in a law firm or in a corporate house or in any outsourcing KPO, BPO, like knowledge processing outsourcing, business process outsourcing, and they would try to earn their bread and butter. Now, we must realize at the very onset, if you are determined since the very beginning that you want to be a courtroom lawyer, you want to specialize in litigation. So certain people always tell me that if you are going for litigation, why are you opting for CA and CS? Ultimately, litigation all boils down to the procedural and substantive laws we learn. It has nothing to do with the CA and CS. But we must realize that CA and CS are independent courses and professions by themselves. Even after graduating at the age of 23, after 27, 20, after a few years, if you decide that law is not your forte anymore, like you are unable to cope up with the environment of the court, you are unable to get a stronghold in the litigation field, CA and CS can always provide you with alternate career options, and believe me, the career options are very lucrative in themselves. Now, this is a point which I always try to insist, that even if you are hell-bent on going for judiciary or litigation, it's fine, but we never know what the circumstances might be in the future. So if I won't say CA or CS brightens or doubles or enhances your scope of opportunity, I always say C or CA widens your scope of opportunity. The wide base and ambit of the opportunity that gets thrown up after doing a CA and CS is much more and quite wide. Now coming to the second part of lawyer, which are the boardroom lawyers. Now, The boardroom lawyers are basically those lawyers who work under a particular organization. It can be an in-house counsel, that is a company, or a law firm. Now, we must realize these people in in-house counsels or law firm has different team. Let us start with the companies or the MNCs first. These MNCs are looking for someone. The post is known as compliance analyst. Compliance analyst simply means a company or a MNC has to comply with a lot of guidelines, rules and regulations as prescribed by the Companies Act and other codes like insolvency and bankruptcy code, which are issued from time to time. Now the thing is, someone who is running a company and an MNC doesn't know the nitty-gritties of the law. The intricacies of the law are never clear to them. For instance, many people don't know that if you are earning profit of 50 crore or more in 5 annual years, you have to do 2% of CSR. That is corporate social responsibility. And if it is not done, you can be thrown into jail. But many of the businessmen and many of the entrepreneurs who are starting with the startups do not know all these things. So for that reason, they need the compliance analyst. And who can be a better compliance analyst than a company secretariat? Because whatever the course teaches him is nothing but how to tell a company what to do and what not to do. Now think very rationally, not going into very legal intricacies from a layman perspective. If a company is looking for a company secretariat, the company secretary would simply tell him what to do, what not to do. That means he'll tell him that yes, you can have a merger at this point of time, or he may tell him that your acquisition is so much, so you have to pay cess at 10% per annum. But what would a lawyer do? The lawyer would have to implement the same, right? If the CS tells him that you have to file IT returns thrice a year or 4 times quarterly, that is what the norms of the business say, just an example. But the entrepreneur again doesn't know how to file an IT return. For that, he needs a lawyer. And at this given point of time, suppose you are a lawyer and you have a professional degree like that of CA and CS. So you are two resource person combined in one for the particular MNC or for the particular company. This itself explains the importance or the key vital position that a lawyer with a CS or CA degree can play in a particular company. So it makes us very clear why a person with a LLB and a CS is more lethal or more deadly combination than a person with a BA plus CS. Because if I am a history graduate and if I get CS, I might tell him that you can do this, you cannot do this. But I may not be the person who can implement those guidelines. I may not be the person who will tell them how to do it. I might tell him that you cannot draft a contract with a company who has 10 crore or less net worth. But I am not the person who can tell him how to draft a contract, how to insert an arbitration clause. For that, I need a lawyer. Now, if I am both combined in one, I am also a lawyer and I have also got some professional degree like CA and CS. I would be of immense value, immense worth to the particular person. This is one of the vital benefits that we must realize that we have if we pursue CS along with LLB from a strictly in-house counsel or MNC perspective. Now, after this, we want to strike on the point how this helps in self-employment of lawyers. We know all down the line that after this corona outbreak or something, this world would lean towards self-employment. People would have to try to be self-employed. Now, as a lawyer, you can always be self-employed. You can open your chamber, you can start practicing, but all of us know in harsh reality, it takes time. It takes work to get hold of that, to get hold of customers, to build a reputation of you over a given period of time. And also for a CS, it also goes the same. Or for a CA, for a chartered accountant or a company management accountant, CMA, it goes the same. You can be a self-employed practitioner in a particular case. Now think of a situation that the amount of work that a CA or a CS can get in the primary years has always been greater than the amount of work that a lawyer would get in his initial years, because the amount of weightage that experience gets for a lawyer is not so much for a CA and CS. So if you have a professional degree like a CA and CS, And if you want to practice self-employment, then this would be a great upper hand, because at this point of time, if I am a practicing CS who also has a LLB degree, if a company comes to me as outsourced personnel or something, that they want to know how to go for registration of a name clause of a partnership firm, suppose if I am only a CS, I just give them an advice and charge some minimal amount. But if I am also a lawyer, they will come to me asking for advice in the capacity of a CS. But if I can properly influence them, they'll also give me the further contract of drafting it. Thereby, starting from a CS perspective or starting from the perspective of a CS, I also get to do the job of a lawyer and earn at least twice from this given point. Thus, pursuing of CA and CS besides LLB also enhances your scope of self-employment. Now we must realize that there are certain myths regarding CA and CS which are in the market. Like one of the myths is that CA and CS are very tough. They're extremely tough examination for cracking, because the passing percentage around 9 to 10% in the final stage. And in LLB is itself a very voluminous and a strenuous job. Now the thing is that we must realize that these courses have certain subjects which always goes in hand or goes concurrent with the LLB courses, and definitely with the 5-year BA LLB or BCom LLB courses. If someone is pursuing BA LLB or BCom LLB, then the main focus lies not only in the company law, it also focuses on many other aspects of law like criminal law, IPC, Indian Evidence Act. But we are always taught about the company law, partnership act, everything. These subjects also form the basis and core of the CA and CS subject. Now we must realize.
So
Yeah.
Kaustav, you're talking about how that there's a myth that the CA and CS courses are tough and hard to crack, right? And the reason behind the reason why this is false is because the subjects in CS overlap with the subjects which are there in the law. So there are students who are pursuing BA LLB and they don't have subjects like accounting or economics and all. So how can a BA, a student who is pursuing BA LLB could give the CS exam?
I get that point. So this was my second myth actually, but Akash, thank you. The second myth was that CA and CS is only for commerce students, which is wrong. If you are from a science background, if you are from a humanities background, you can easily opt for CA and CS. I explain it to you very simply. The point is, the foundation of CS, which is nowadays known as CSEET, Company Secretary Executive Entrance Test, has 4 papers. Now just listen to the name of the papers. The first paper is Business Communication. The second paper is Economic and Business Environment. The third paper is Legal Aptitude and Logical Reasoning. And the fourth paper is Current Affairs and General Knowledge. Akash, if you focus clearly, these are nothing but replicas of the subjects we had in CLAT. These are nothing but the portions and the parts which a CLAT student prepares for. So I believe that if you are preparing for CLAT or IELTS or any law entrance examination for such, so I believe given that the structuring of the CS course is very much similar after the amendment of the February 2020, the structuring of the foundation examination of CS is very much similar that to the pattern of CLAT or IELTS or any such other law entrance examination. So if someone is preparing for CLAT or IELTS, I don't think there might be a problem in preparing simultaneously for this foundation paper. Coming to the second point, that what after I clear the foundation? After you clear the foundation, there would be certain papers like taxation laws, company laws. There would be auditing in CA. These papers are very specific papers which focus specific knowledge of company law. But the thing is, in a law school, especially in 5-year BLB courses, we are taught all kind of laws. We are taught company laws, taxation laws, and side by side we are taught criminal law, civil law. Now the thing is, what we face, a student who is pursuing both CS and LLB or CA or LLB, some subjects are taught in law school before and they are tested in CA or CS later. And some subjects are tested in CA or CS beforehand and they are tested in law school afterhand. So basically, if you are preparing for either of them, each of them would help to complement you in the future, either on the professional course side or also in the LLB side. Both of
So,
them, yeah,
what would be the right time to start preparing for these exams? Since for example, subjects like company law and all, some of these subjects are taught in law schools in maybe the third year or
third
the
year,
second year. Yeah.
yeah.
So, does this mean that that a first year student can't start his or her preparation for the CS exam?
No, Akash, I don't believe it. Many people have told me that the right time to prepare for CS is second year, but I don't believe it personally because what I just told you, that I believe that if you are focused on doing a professional course, the right time is to start just after class 12. You clear your foundation, you get enrolled, and you appear for the exam 7 months later. Now the thing is, the first paper of CS would be, we believe it might be taxation laws, for instance, or company law. And at that point of time, suppose you are being taught subjects like torts in the law school. So both of them have no correlation. But the thing is, what I told you, if you slog hard enough and you know the company law, the taxation law basic from the CS, it will always help you to do better in the law school in the future years. That is the thing. The thing is, if you do that, also the thing is, CS would teach you everything. They will teach you company law, they will teach you taxation laws. CA or CS, they'll provide you with reference reading material and they'll provide you with video lecturing, video classes, and video conferencing. They provide you with guidance.
You are pursuing CS as of now, right?
Yeah.
And you must have received the resources, the study material and all.
Yeah,
could you tell us how is the study material? Could you give us a feedback on that?
Okay, I'll say the study material for the foundation course I've already told you is pretty similar to that of CLAT. It is pretty similar to that of CLAT. All the 4 papers I've told you pretty similar to that of CLAT. And for the executive exam, the study material that we receive is very much specific. Okay, it's very much specific. Now the thing is, the main difference between the study. Hello, can you hear me, Akash? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're audible, yeah.
Okay, the thing is, the approach of the CA exam and the approach of the law school exams are bit different in the matter that CS tests mostly on specifics. Like CS would ask you, what does section 2 of this act says? Okay, and the law school exams that we appear for are more or less application based. Correct? Hello?
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
So they are mostly application based. We are taught the law, we are taught the bare act, but more often than not, we get hypotheticals, we get situations that we need to tend and attend to. Now the thing is, in the study materials, the CS or the CS study materials that we get are more or less specific. They are not so elaborate or in depth like that of law school study materials. But the thing is, the structure of the examination or the course itself is like that. It focuses more on specific, it focuses more on MCQs, single line rote learning rather than application. So I believe in a law school, you have to know the law and you have to apply it. But for a CS or CA examination perspective, you just have to know the law. And the study material, I believe, for CS at least, for CA it might change because CA is very competitive. The study material along with the resources provided with the center is perfectly fine. Also the thing is, in CS the passing percentage is only 50%. It's only 50% overall and the passing per paper is 40%. And in CS, like in law school, the CGPA matters. Like I've got 6.75 CGPA, he has got 5. But in CS, those CGPA doesn't matter. After you get a CA executive certificate, you are allowed to practice. You can go for a job. That is what it matters. Because the same thing is taught to everyone. Yeah, am I expecting a question?
Yeah. So, for example, I am studying in a law school, and I'm not able to understand a particular law. For example, companies law in my law school. So is it is it advisable for students who are looking to pursue CS or CA to enroll themselves in any online courses or any purchase any other material?
Yeah, it's sure. See, there are certain online courses which are always good. If you have a good online course, there are many platforms like Kachari also provide for a few. If you enroll for them, like drafting skills or diploma certificate in this company law, it is always good. It will help you not only for CSCS, it will also help you for the law school. So that is always good. I think that's a good point. But if you are focused and if you go through the study material well, I think it can clear it, given the bit of time. The time management becomes very crucial because more often than not people get entangled in law school. Like we have other co-curricularies like mooting, debating, ADR. But at some point of time, we must realize that we must prioritize on the given things. A professional course
How
should
do
have
you
a
how do you manage your law school and the CS course which you're pursuing as of now?
Okay, so the thing is, I had a commerce background in +2, and I had started in the end of my in the summer breaks of my first year only. The thing is, I have my whenever I am in law school, I divide the day into two slots. That is for first one part for the law school studies and one part for the CS studies. And if there is something in common, like if I'm studying property law, which is common in both, it's fine. It saves time. And over the weekends, on the Saturday, Sunday, or Friday night, I try to focus on co-curriculars like research papers, some mooting stuff, or some ADR, or like going for some online courses or diploma courses. On the weekends, I try to focus on that. But I prioritize when it is a time, like 2 weeks before the law school exams, I will not study for CS. Similarly, 2 weeks before the CS exam, I will not go for mooting. So these are the things which we need to prioritize, because I just want to emphasize on one thing, that a mooting or a ADR or a debate is extremely important, but the value of a mooting or a debate or ADR gets over after the 5 years. After your law school is over, you show it in your CV, you get a job, it is over. But if you get a CA or CS in front of your name or a CM, it will stay with you forever. You can use it till the last day of your life. So you never know. That is a difference which I want to tell, that everything is essential. Research paper, mooting, debate. But if you strike a balance, if you can devote a certain amount of time for these professional courses like CSCS, I think it's extremely important and good for the betterment of the future. And also, as we have discussed earlier also, that it gives you the scope of self-employment. That is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
So,
yeah.
continue.
No, you just ask me a question. You asking something?
So there are friends of mine in my law school who want to who want to enter judiciary, want to give exams like judiciary and all. So when I told them about courses like CNCA, they were like, we want to go to judiciary, and these courses won't help us. These professional courses. So would you say that a person who wants to give the exam or give the judiciary exam, these courses won't be of any use?
See, I just want to say something, that if you have got a CA and CS, you can still go for judiciary. But if you think you will go for judiciary and don't study CA and CS, but if you change your mind later on, there is no turning back. That is what I can say then. If you do a CA or CS, it will have a career perspective not only for today, not for 3 years, but for your lifetime. In any time during the future, you can have an alternate career. You can switch career options. You can go for multitasking. But if you are hell bent on doing judiciary, and if you are sure that somewhere down the line in the future you will never change your mind, you will never face difficult, like judiciary vacancies are declining day by day. Expect Maharashtra, MP, and West Bengal, most of the states are reducing their vacancies. So if you are hell bent that you will never change your mind, so pursuing C and CS won't be of any help other than developing your knowledge and better understanding of the subject. But I always say that these professional courses will always widen. I will not simply say improve. I will say that term widen your scope of employment and career perspectives in the future. That is what the point is. It will always widen, because you can always change tracks. You have done CS, but you want to judiciary, but you are not getting through. You are getting stuck at the interview. The vacancies are not getting out of your state for 2 to 3 years. You can go for a job. You are a lawyer. You can earn for some money. You can come back to judiciary even after that. But the thing is, if you are a hellbound name, I will have to go to judiciary. I have not done any CS, then there is no turning back after you once graduate. And even if there's a turning point, it's a very long road. We all know. So that's the thing I will tell the people who are trying to decline that. Also, one more thing, Akash, I want to focus on. Many people
Yeah.
tell me that in CA on CS, we have something known as articleship. After the second exam is over, after the executive exam is over, and before we have the final exam, there is something known as articleship. Now, most of the
Yeah.
people say
Hmm.
articleship is something in which you work under a CA or CS or a company or a particular firm and you get work. And most of the people say that you have to balance time between articleship and law school. It's very hectic. Also, we have internship. So I just say them the articleship can be done also on dummy basis. That means you needn't go to the particular place every day. You can go it online. After online, the sprout is that online articleship internship is very much encouraged. Also, I believe that the amount of time in the initial years, first 2 years, that we give for the preparation of CS for the next 1 year, the same amount of time per day, if we give doing the articleship work, it is fine. So we cannot say that articleship cannot be done for a law student given the hectic and the strenuous schedule of law schools. But I believe that articleship can also be done besides doing a CA and CS. And that is the why this is a very bad myth which surrounds the law school students. I think they can do always articleship besides doing the law school career.
Okay. So I know the topic was discussing about law students, the importance and relevance. But as for example, there's a law student who's in his 5th year and he's about to start practicing as an advocate. Or let's say there's a practicing advocate. He's been practicing for like past 5 or 10 years. So do these practice the ones who are practicing law, can they also pursue CS? Is there any age limit, minimum age limit, or
No, the thing is, currently there is no minimum age limit, but the
okay,
council, both the CA and CS council, have given guidelines that they might impose maximum age bar in the future. So we cannot say that for certain, but I believe currently there is none. And also, if you are already a graduate, that is, you have already done a graduation in a particular stream, then there are certain exemptions that you get. There are certain exemptions that you get for both CA and CS. So you can opt for CA and CS after also your graduation. That is the thing.
exemptions as in?
Exemption as in certain papers and examinations for already graduate student are exempted. You do not have to appear for those examinations. There are certain
Okay, so
exemptions.
for example, let's start here.
Okay. So we were discussing about the dates, right? So basically, CS Foundation is held 4 times a year from 2020. That is May, July, November, and January. And the second and third level, that is executive and professional, is held twice a year in June and in December. But now, currently, due to Corona, the exam which was supposed to be held in May has been pushed till July. So we don't know about the future schedule of the CS examinations. I think it will be announced shortly within 15 days. And also the same goes for CA, but CA Foundation is held only twice a year. And also the difference between CA and CS is for CA the articleship or the period of training is 3 years, and for CS the combined period of training is 2 years. And also currently I want to draw a notice that CS from this year has given us a very big advantage. That is, earlier there were 3 phases: foundation, executive, and professional. Foundation was
Yeah, you talked about the change which was made, right?
Yeah, so foundation was 9 to 10 months.
Yeah.
Same goes for executive, 10 months, then 2 years training, and then 10 months professional. But currently, the executive is no more there. Sorry, the foundation is no more there. It is CSEET, Company Secretary Executive Entrance Test, which is like a test in which you can enroll, like the test is on 17th July, you can enroll till 15th of June, and you can appear for the test. It is same syllabus and same structure and module as that of CLAT. So you can appear for that, so you are saving 9 months. Okay.
So the applications are open as of now.
Yeah, the CS Executive Entrance Test, which
Okay.
is supposed to be the 17th July, the applications are open till 15th of June. So you can apply there, and the module and the reference reading material is also available in the ICSI website. You can download the reference reading material from their online PDF, and the structure and it is a 200 marks examination, so 50 marks, 4 section. Minimum passing criteria is 100 marks, and the thing is 40 marks in section, 40% sectional cutoffs. It is pretty similar to that of CLAT. It can be easily availed, and if you clear that, you can appear for the next level, that is executive, either in December or in June next year. And once you clear the executive entrance, which is something very good for both C and CS, the window is open for 5 years. That is, you clear the stage 1 and the window open is 5 years. In 5 years, after every 6 months, there is examination. So even if you fail to clear a particular level, you get to clear it in the second attempt. That is after 6 months. So like you can give a particular examination 10 times at the most, which is a very good advantage for any professional course like CA and CS. You get multiple attempts to give the same examination. So there always lies a high probability that you will clear it.
So okay, how many stages are there? The first one is the CSEET.
Yeah.
Was it CSET?
That is Company Secretariat Executive Entrance Test. Then
Okay.
we have the executive, CS executive.
Okay.
And then we have the CS professional. Okay.
Okay. So many of the people were saying that earlier there were 3 exams and now there are only 2. So that's not true, right? That's not true. There are only there are 3.
There are still 3 exams, but in the first, in order to give the first exam, you have to study for 9 months. You have to enroll and study for 9 months. Now the thing is, you can enroll 1 month before the exam. It is an entrance exam. There is nothing related to CS as such. There is no company law. There is no editing and accounting. There is business communication, legal and logical reasoning, business and economic environment, GK and current affairs, which is pretty similar to that of CLAT or IELTS. So that is a very big advantage that ICSI had introduced from this year.
So in simpler words, all you need to do is you need to just give the CSEET exam, and then you can apply for the executive and the professional, right?
After you clear the executive, you can apply for the
executive. Okay.
But you have to do articleship. After executive, you have to do articleship. Then you have to apply for professional.
Articleship of how many months?
Articleship of 24 months, 2 years.
Okay. So how can a law student manage the 2 years of articleship? How are you planning to manage the articleship?
No, articleship is like you get enrolled with a CS. Suppose you are studying in a particular law school, like in Kolkata or Bhopal, you get enrolled in a particular CS, or you get enrolled in a CS firm, which the institute will help you. They'll tell you these are the prospective CS or CS firm. Go and enroll. You will enroll. They'll give you work. You can work from home itself. You can work from the hostel, and you can do online work after this given period of time. Online sprout of work. Now the thing is, as I said, while preparing for CSET or preparing for CS executive, the amount of time which we used to devote per day for managing the studies is the same amount of time we can devote per day for doing the articleship. That is how we manage it. The amount of time which we used to spend for studying is the same amount of time we can spend for managing on the articleship. This is how we manage the things in both, in giving the period of training in articleship. That is how. And also, like those who are strictly looking for placement, if you get through CA or CS, the Institute of Chartered Accountant and ICSI, both of them organizes campus placements. Like you can go and attend over there, companies and firms come. If you get selected, you can get a job. You can either go for placement through your law school. Like this is what we say, na? Many law schools have a very strong alumni network. That is why they use it, and law firm placements are very easy for such law schools. But there are many law schools or very traditional law universities which do not have such strong alumni network in a law firm. But if you are applying or trying to get a law firm placement, the best thing is to go for a professional course. Go for CA, go for CS. The institute would help you, and always you will have a higher scope of attending placement than from any average guy, despite him being from a top tier NLU. This is what we say. A top tier NLU average guy might beat a topper of a traditional university or not so famous NLU. But if the not so famous NLU or traditional university guy has a professional degree, CS, the ICA or ICSI, both of them will help him to find placements. Also, his CV or his credentials would be placed at a top, better notch for the walk-in interviews that the firms conduct than the students from their tier 1 NLUs. That is also an advantage with the professional courses always import on this.
Great. for a student who has cleared the executive round and has also done the articleship of the 24 months. So, and for example, let's say the person appears for the professional course but is not able to crack the last exam. So, for example, I can't clear the professional course. So, would my CS executive would carry a weightage? Would carry some weightage?
See,
Would would I be considered as a CS?
no, you won't be considered as a CS, but
Okay.
you can appear for professional 10 times. That is the thing. Once you
Okay.
clear the
Okay.
executive, the result remains intact or same for 5 years. So you will get so many attempts to appear for the CS professional. So we'll have a high chance of clearing the CS professional. And also, like if you have cleared CS EET, like you are an enrolled student of CS, and if you have cleared CS executive, suppose, and you feel like discontinuing CS, that I will not further pursue CS, I am not enjoying it, or I will not further pursue CA after finishing the CA intermediate, that is where your law school degree will help you, because that's where you usually put at a different footing from your fellow batchmates who have done nothing of CA and CS. Because the recruiter, the law firms, or the in-house counsel will always put the person who has done CSET and crashed CS executive at a higher notch than person without so. Because the persons who has clear CA intermediate or CS executive would always definitely have a better understanding of company law, compliance, than those persons who are not enrolled in such things and are doing only regular law school. So, like, it is also something. Only CS executive or only CA intermediate also has some value from strictly placement perspective, but you cannot be called a CS. You cannot practice as a CS. For that, you need to clear the professional or the final examination.
Is it same for the CA exams? The CA exam also has some stages, right?
Yeah,
So,
CA exam has
so
3 stages. CA
yeah.
foundation, CA
Hmm.
foundation. After that, we have the CA intermediate. After that, we have 3 years articleship. After that, we have the CA final. Also, the
Okay.
packages that the CA students get, the ICAI offers, is much higher than that of ICSI, the CS.
Hmm.
Also, and we have one more CMA, cost and management accountant, but it is strict cost and management, CMA, but it is mostly related to taxing. So if you want to be a tax lawyer, and if you also have a CMA, like it's a win-win situation. You want to aspect of
Okay.
tax.
Okay. For example, just a hypothetical question: is it possible for a law student to enroll into all these three courses, the CS, CA, and the CMA?
No, I don't
Is
think
it?
so. Like
No.
it
No.
is not practically
Okay.
possible. Like if they are like, see, CA focuses mainly in accounting and auditing of a company,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
CS focuses with the governance, the compliance of the company, and CMA focuses on the cost and taxing of the company. So all three of them come. If someone can do all three of them, that is very fine. But pursuing that simultaneously with BLLB or BCom LLB is nearly impossible, I believe. Like, I haven't been a person who has done all three. People have done two. People have done CSCS. People have done CS, CMS, CMS, CS. But all three is I made to meet one.
Okay. So guys, I've opened the Q&A, the Zoom group chat box. You can post your queries there, and Kaustav will answer them. Meanwhile, Kaustav, do you have anything else to share with us?
So I would just want to say that we should start going for the professional courses, because somehow when I am doing a moot or ADR research paper, that is extremely important. I am never negating that, but the benefit or the vision or the value somehow gets restricted within the 5 years of the law school. But a professional course is the different career or genre opinion itself, which will help you throughout your life. And if you are a lawyer, besides that, simultaneously with that, then there is no bound for that. Okay, Akash, so
Okay.
shall I answer the questions verbally?
Yeah. You can answer the questions. So the first question is: if someone is from a commerce background, what should he or she prefer, the CA or the CS exam during the law school, and why?
Okay, so I would tell you that you can pursue either. It depends basically on your focus and abilities. It is like trying that whether I will try chocolate cake or butterscotch cake. You can try either, based whether if like I am more inclined towards the corporate governance. because I want to work in-house counsel or as a law firm, as a equity or a company lawyer. That's why I chose CS. But if you want to be a tax lawyer, a audit lawyer, someone who knows the taxing of a company in detail, you can go for CA. CA for LLB has a better financial or monetary perspective because CA has a very high rate of getting placed both by the law school and the ICA. But the thing is, CA is a more difficult code than CS, and CS has 2 years of articleship. CA has 3 years of articleship. Also, the amount of percentage of people passing in CS is 2 times than the person passing in CS. So you can understand. Okay. Can we go for the next question?
Yeah. Then, so is there? Okay, the next question is similar to the previous one. So, in your opinion, between CS and CA, which is better and which is more beneficial to a law student? I think you've already answered this
Yeah.
in the previous question. Yeah. So the next one is the long-term internship training program mandatory? And
Yeah,
if
it
yes,
is.
can it be done simultaneously with the law school?
Yeah, it is mandatory, and as we discussed just a few minutes ago, like how it can be done simultaneously with the laws. I think we discussed. Okay.
Okay.
Then the next question is a very important question that can be answered.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, the thing is, I have heard that we can either get enrolled in bar council or lawyer, register as CS. Both can't be done simultaneously. Is it true? The thing is, this is one more myth that we must try to answer. That bar council tells us that if you are a registered member of the bar council, you cannot be in any other full-term service. That is what the bar council mandate. It never tells us to be a member or registered member of CS. You can be a CS, but you may not be a practicing CS. If you are a practicing advocate of a particular or a AOR, you may not be a practicing CS. And the same goes other way around. Because this was introduced because many CS having a CS degree but having no LLB degree started giving legal advice to the clients. That's why this rule came in that if you are a lawyer, you have to be a lawyer. You can have a CS degree. You can go it for employment, but not for practice. So you can have it for employment. You can go and join law firms or MNCs, but you cannot be an independent practitioner CS, I think.
Okay. So the next question is it compulsory to do articleship after executive, or can we do it after clearing professional exam? Yeah. Okay. So for if I have cleared the executive exam, and now could it be possible that I appear for the professional exam and then do the articleship in one go?
Under the new guidelines, it is not possible. Earlier it was possible, but if you are a graduate, suppose as we told, the council does give you certain exemptions, like they'll break your articleship 1 year after the executive, 1 year after the professional. They might break it, but under new guidelines, not possible.
Okay.
Do we have anything else?
Yeah, there's one more question coming. Just a second. Okay, meanwhile, can is it just law students who will be beneficial by doing these courses, or I mean, what are different kinds of students who can enroll themselves in these professional courses?
Anyone. It's open to all. It's open to all. It's open for a BCom graduate, BA graduate, BSc graduate, for a law graduate. It's open to all. But I personally believe that a law graduate has many advantages which other graduates doesn't have. Like we explained, suppose I'm a CS, I'll tell you what to do, what not to do. And also if I'm a lawyer, I'll do it for you. I'll tell you that you can file return right now, you can file IT return 3 months later. If I'm a lawyer, besides telling this, I'll also file the IT return for you. This is why I think our law students have advantages.
Okay. So basically, in simpler words, it's basically the benefit. The main benefit is the buy one get one offer, which the recruiter gets, right?
Yeah, correct.
Like if he recruits a law student from a college, he'll also be getting a company secretary or a CA.
Chartered,
Yeah. Okay, okay. So we have another question. So this is a follow-up question. As you said, the training internship is mandatory. So if I end up completing my course by the time I graduate from law school, how do I manage both my job and internship training simultaneously? Yeah, so we were talking about how to manage law school and the articleship. Now the question is how to manage job and articleship.
I think Akash, like it is same. If you can manage law school and articleship, I think it's easier to manage articleship and your job simultaneously because the kind of work that we get in articleship is more or less similar, pretty similar to the kind of work that you would get being a CS executive plus a lawyer. Suppose I am a CS executive plus a lawyer and I am recruited and I am going for the articleship. The kind of work which my employer would give me would also be the kind of work, similar work which my articleship person would give me. So I think it's easier managing simultaneously with law school.
Okay, okay, okay. Further, are there any training internship provided by the law firms?
Training internships as in I didn't
Yeah,
get it.
I don't understand. Yeah, I'm not able to understand the question. Could you please explain the question in a bit more detail, please? The training internship program on the articleship. Okay, so are there any law firms? I think this is the question that are there any law firms who provide training internship program or the articleship programs? Hello, Kaustav?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Yes, yeah. So the question is, are there any law firms who provide the training internship or the articleship program?
No. Thing is,
So as of now, yeah.
the
Hmm.
articleship can only be done by certain CS or CS firms who are registered with the Institute of Chartered
Okay.
Company Secretaries of India. So law firms, I don't think they're registered with the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, so they cannot provide for the articleship.
Okay. So this something which I would be searching when this meeting ends. That are can a law firm also register itself as the in the CS thing which you were talking about?
See,
So
if there
you
are
think
only
you
law,
think
if there are only law graduates, suppose all of
hmm,
us are law graduates, BLLB,
hmm,
and also we are CS, and we are registered
hmm,
member of the ICSI, and we are not enrolled in bar council, we are not going for practice, we are going for
hmm.
employment, we can register ourselves as CS firm.
Okay. Yeah, we have another question. If someone wants to go for corporate or law firms after 5 years, will doing CS be beneficial? Yeah. So once you complete the law firm, so we were talking about this that once you complete your 5 year law school or the 3 year law school, and you want to start with practicing in a firm or practicing by yeah. So would this be beneficial?
Yeah, definitely. See, the crux of the discussion was entirely based on how like
Hmm.
beneficial recruitment in law firms might be after doing a CS. So I think that is what we have already discussed. How should I gather the study material? Will law book suffice? Okay, so the study material, Akash, would be given by the Institute of Company Secretaries of India itself. They'll provide you with the study materials. That's the point. They'll provide you
And
with the
the,
study
yeah, and
materials.
thereof they suffice
There are sound
the
quality. There would be video conferencing, video lecturing. For CA, you might take certain additional classes that is once in a week or something. For CS, you don't need. For CA, you might need.
is it also true that the number of people who clear the professional stage of CS it's only 3%?
No, it's not 3%, but it varies. Like it varies because
Okay.
the thing is, we always have this question because most people discontinue after a certain point of time. Most
Hmm.
people discontinue CS. They go for alternate career option. They get a job. They get complacent. They don't feel like continuing CS. That's why the passing percentage is less. Otherwise, it's not such a very tough examination.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
Do we have any other question? how much time one should be invested to crack CS? Yeah, the maximum time which should be invested to crack company secretary. Hello.
Uh, I was
Yeah.
thinking that how much time one should max be investing to crack CS.
Hmm.
So I think it depends. Akash, to be very frank, it depends on person to person. But my it depends on how much time per day you can try to invest in CS. How you think are the difficult level of subject depends on studying capacity. But I think try to invest per day at least around 2 hours for CS based on the examination preparation. And
Okay.
during 1 or 2 weeks before the examination, I try to increase it considerably. So, but I think that if you don't find it so weak, but you might find not yourself comfortable, you have to spend more time. But if you are confident enough, you can spend less time. But please do not compromise with the law school studies. That law school CGPA, the only thing you must remember, law school CGPA matters. CS or CA, only clearing matters. The rank doesn't matter significantly.
Yeah,
That's
that's a good point. Yeah, not to devote too much of time if you're a law student, not to devote too much of time in CS. Oh, and what about CA? Does the course have any percentage or any particular marks, or is it same like the CS only? Once you clear, you are a CA.
yeah, 50%. 50% marks have to
Okay,
clear, they have to be a CA.
so that's a good thing. Yeah. For further questions and doubts, how can we get in touch with you? Would it be okay if I share your contact information in the group?
You can share my email, I think that will be fine.
Yeah. Okay. We'll share your email ID in the group. And is any further queries? I think almost done. We covered almost everything. Okay, so yeah. So thank you, Kaustav, for coming to the webinar, joining us, and explaining us everything in detail, clearing our doubts, and telling us about the myth which is there related to these courses. Hello, hello, Kaustav, am I audible? I think there's the network issue. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah. We lost you in the middle. So okay, so
Okay.
we are about to just end the session. So first of all, thank you for coming, and it's
Yeah,
been a
thank
great
you very
webinar.
much.
Yeah, and you explained everything in detail. Thank you for clearing the myths which are there for these CS and CA courses. And I hope if anyone has any doubt, we'll post the email ID of Kosto in the group. You can contact him there. So thank you, Kosto. All the
Thanks,
best for your
Akash. Thanks for
future.
having me.
Yeah.
It was a
Okay.
nice meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you.